Imagine dedicating your life's work, pouring your heart into your passion, perfecting your signature recipe, only to have it rejected. Not once, not twice, but, get this, 1,009 times.
Wow.
That number just hits differently, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
It's not just a statistic, it's a testament to something almost unfathomable.
It really is. When you
Yeah.
hear a figure like that, it forces you to pause and just consider the sheer depth of perseverance involved. I mean, most people would have thrown in the towel after, what, a dozen rejections? Maybe.
Let alone 1,000.
Exactly. Let alone over 1,000.
And that, my friends, is really the bedrock of our deep dive today. We're talking about Colonel Harlan Sanders, the, instantly recognizable founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That iconic face.
Totally. You see his face on buckets and billboards all over the world, but behind that familiar sort of grandfatherly image is just an astonishing story of resilience, relentless setbacks, and an unwavering belief in himself. So our mission today is to go beyond that iconic facade and really unpack the pivotal moments and the powerful lessons from his life. How did a man who, by his own admission, saw defeat at every turn ultimately build a global empire? We're talking over 25,000 outlets in more than 145 countries now.
It's incredible. And it's more than just a success story, right? It's almost like a blueprint for understanding what it takes to push past seemingly insurmountable odds. We're going to explore not just the what of his life, but the how and the why behind his incredible tenacity.
And it all starts really in the most humble way possible. Harlan Sanders was born into poverty in Henryville, Indiana, back on September 9th, 1890. But his childhood was, tragically cut short.
Yeah, very early on.
When he was just 5 years old, his father died, and that just thrust immediate, immense responsibility onto his tiny shoulders. He was the eldest of 3 siblings, in a really struggling family.
Yeah, 5 years old.
This wasn't just a loss, it was a defining moment, really. It forced him to grow up incredibly fast.
Absolutely. From that incredibly young age, his life became, like you said, almost a masterclass in forced independence and adaptation. He wasn't just a kid, he was a caregiver and a provider out of sheer necessity. You could almost see his character being forged right there in that crucible of early responsibility.
That's a powerful way to put it. His mother worked long hours in a factory just trying to keep food on the table. So young Harlan had to step up in the most fundamental ways.
Right.
He learned to cook at just 7 years old. Can you imagine?
Heaven. Wow.
What started as just a basic household chore, a means of survival for his younger siblings, it actually blossomed into something much more profound, a lifelong passion.
And he also worked on farms, right, as a kid?
Yeah, just to bring in a little extra money for the family. It wasn't about finding a hobby or anything like that. It was pure survival.
It truly was. And that fierce independence, it only deepened. When he was 12, after his mother remarried, apparently his stepfather didn't like him much.
Yeah, the relationship was strained.
It became so apparent that Harlan actually left home. He chose to go live with his aunt. Think about that, at 12.
It's unbelievable.
It wasn't just a child running away. It was like a young man making a stark decision to forge his own path, even at that tender age.
Yeah.
And this early life trajectory, constantly shifting, always having to fend for himself, it perfectly illustrates our first crucial learning from his life, doesn't it? Adjust according to the situation. He wasn't just told to adapt, he lived it every single day.
He didn't just adapt, he practically became a chameleon, constantly putting himself in new, often really challenging situations.
Right.
And sometimes those situations were less than ideal, as he'd probably be the first to admit.
Oh, yeah.
Take his attempt to join the army at 16, for instance.
Right. It's quite a story and, a pretty clear example of his youthful impulsiveness, maybe.
Definitely.
He actually lied about his age to enlist. But his deception was discovered pretty quickly, and he was discharged within a year. Yeah, it's a misstep, as one of our sources wisely puts it.
Yeah.
It highlights that even future titans of industry have these early stumbles. But what's remarkable is that he didn't really dwell on it. It was just, okay, close chapter, move on.
Moved on is kind of an understatement. He had what you might call a Rolodex of jobs in those early years. It's wild.
Seriously.
After the army, he worked as a laborer on the railway, but apparently got fired after a dispute. Then he tried selling credit cards that didn't last. He even ventured into a shipbuilding company.
Okay.
Initially found some success there, but then made this pivot to manufacturing chemical lamps.
Wow.
And, oh man, in a classic entrepreneurial setback, A major competitor just saturated the market almost overnight.
Oh, no.
Made his entire investment in the lamps totally worthless. Just gone.
Brutal. That's a harsh lesson in market forces right there. And the list just keeps going, doesn't it?
It does. He was an insurance agent. He even briefly tried his hand as a lawyer.
A lawyer? Really?
Yeah, but apparently got thrown out of court after a fight. So that didn't work out either.
Wow. Okay. What's striking about this whirlwind of careers isn't just the sheer number of jobs, right? It's the diverse skill sets he was inadvertently picking up along the way.
That's a great point.
Each one, whether it felt like a success or a total failure at the time, was a data point. He was learning about people, about sales, about operations, about resilience, even if he couldn't quite articulate it like that back then.
That's a brilliant insight. Most people would look at, a dozen different careers by their late 30s and call it instability, maybe even failure. But for Harland, each pivot wasn't really a dead end. It was just a different road on a totally unmapped journey.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us right to our second profound learning from his life. Keep going until you reach. Despite this seemingly endless stream of defeats and career changes, he just did not stop.
He didn't.
He embodied this relentless spirit, constantly searching for his path, even if it meant trying 2 dozen different ones. What do you think, allowed him to maintain that level of persistence? Where did that come from?
I think, honestly, it goes back to that early forced independence we talked about.
Yeah.
He learned really young that nobody was coming to save him. If he wanted to eat, if he wanted to make something of himself, he just had to keep moving forward. It wasn't necessarily about optimism, maybe. It felt more like a fundamental, almost primal drive to survive and, make some kind of mark.
Mm-hmm.
He simply refused to accept that any single setback was the final word on his story.
It truly is a remarkable kind of willpower. I mean, many people would have thrown in the towel after just a couple of those setbacks, the railway firing, the lamp business collapsing.
Oh, absolutely.
But not Harland. Okay, so after all these twists and turns, we arrive at this really critical moment in his life. A midlife crossroads that I think perfectly illuminates our third learning. Failures will give you the best lesson.
Indeed. This is a key turning point. By age 40, after this lifetime of varied jobs, and let's face it, what many would label as failures,
For sure.
he found himself working at a fuel pump, just pumping gas. Then, the Great Depression hit hard, and that fuel pump eventually closed down. So he moved to a profit-sharing job at a service station. But even there, work was incredibly scarce. He was, effectively back at square one, feeling pretty lost, uncertain about his future.
Talk about a bleak outlook. 40 years old, lifetime of experience, but no real consistent success to show for it, and the whole economy is in tatters. How do you possibly find your direction in that kind of moment? Was there a specific trigger, an epiphany that led him back to cooking?
It seemed like it was maybe a gradual dawning, really spurred on by necessity. He was just trying to bring in any money he could, right?
Right.
And he remembered that innate love for cooking, the skill he had since he was a kid.
That passion from childhood.
Exactly. So he didn't just sit there feeling sorry for himself. He started a small stall right next to the service station. And here's the kind of genius move. Or maybe desperate move, I don't know.
Me, both.
He began offering his homemade fried chicken for free to the customer.
No way. For free!
Yeah. It was his way of, testing the waters, letting the product speak for itself.
He literally gave his passion away initially just to see if it resonated. That's a bold move, especially when you're struggling yourself. But,
Yeah.
Okay, what happened? Did people like it?
Oh, they loved it. The response was overwhelming. People absolutely loved his taste. They started coming specifically for the chicken, sometimes bypassing the fuel station entirely.
Wow.
His positive feedback, that was his validation. It showed him there was real demand, a market for his unique flavor. This was the moment, I think, he truly understood what he was good at, what brought value to others. So he gradually opened a small roadside restaurant, eventually leaving the service station job entirely to focus just on his culinary endeavor. His failures had basically taught him what he didn't want to do,
Right.
clearing the path to what he did.
And this is where the legend really starts to take shape, isn't it? His fried chicken was so distinct, so delicious, that the governor of Kentucky himself was deeply impressed.
Yeah, the giver.
And he bestowed upon Harlan Sanders the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel.
There it is.
From then on, he became known as Colonel Harlan Sanders, and his chicken became Kentucky Colonel Fried Chicken.
It's amazing how a simple, well-deserved title can really cement an identity in a brand like that.
It absolutely is. It elevated his status, gave a unique kind of regional authenticity to his product. But even with this growing recognition, this official title, the path to building a lasting restaurant business remained incredibly rocky. It was far from smooth sailing.
Oh, you're not kidding. Just when things seemed like they were finally taking off, fate intervened again, just proving the success is rarely, if ever, a straight line.
Never is.
His first real full-fledged restaurant shut down after only 3 or 4 years.
Why?
A significant dispute among the employees, just internal conflict.
Okay.
Then he opened a second restaurant. What happens? Devastated by a fire. Just bad luck.
Oh, man.
And if that wasn't enough, his third attempt at a restaurant failed because of the onset of World War II, and you guessed it, another recession. That's just crushing. 3 restaurant failures in pretty short succession after all that effort.
Right. An incredible string of bad luck, external circumstances. It's hard to fathom.
It really is. But here's the critical takeaway, I think, from all these repeated failures in actually owning restaurants. Colonel Sanders had a crucial realization.
Okay.
He figured out what he didn't want to do, which was manage the complexities, the headaches of running restaurants day to day. The staffing, the fires, the recessions.
All of that operational stuff.
Exactly. But he also crystallized what he did want to do. Focus purely, solely, on his fried chicken recipe. He was utterly convinced this unique recipe was his path, that it could make him, in his words, the biggest man in the world.
That conviction, that singular, almost laser-like focus just on his recipe, that's what leads us directly to our fourth learning. Be determined for your victory. With this clear vision, Colonel Sanders made a truly pivotal strategic shift. Instead of trying to open more restaurants himself, he decided to try and sell his unique fried chicken recipe to other existing restaurants. He was changing the whole game.
It was a brilliant move, really.
Yeah.
Shifting from the operational burden of running a place to leveraging his intellectual property, the recipe itself.
Yeah.
But this decision also presented, well, the ultimate test of his resolve. He embarked on this incredibly arduous journey, one that truly defines his legendary perseverance and his belief in that recipe. He literally drove from town to town, city to city, often sleeping in the backseat of his car to save money.
Can you just picture that? An older man, probably in his 60s by this point, right?
Yeah, he wasn't young.
Tirelessly crisscrossing the country, living out of his car, fueled by a dream and a fried chicken recipe. His routine was apparently legendary. He'd be at restaurant doors first thing in the morning, ready to pitch his recipe to the owners before they got swamped with their daily customers.
The hustle was real.
The sheer physical and emotional toll of that grind, day after day, week after week. And here's the truly astonishing fact, the number we started with, the one that just hits you right in the gut. His recipe was rejected a staggering 1,009 times before he found a single taker.
1,009.
Knows.
Just let that sink in.
Think about that. Most people would have given up after 10, maybe 100 if they were really stubborn. After rejection number 500 or number 800, what kind of internal monologue keeps you knocking on the next door?
Right.
That specific detail truly highlights the depth of his unwavering perseverance. It wasn't just a few rejections, it was over 1,000. It shows this almost defiant refusal to give up on his conviction, despite all the external evidence suggesting he should. What do you think those 1,009 rejections taught him that the eventual yes never could? Oh, that's a fascinating question. Perhaps it taught him an unparalleled resilience, a deep understanding of what rejection isn't. Maybe it isn't a personal indictment. It's often just, bad timing, a poor fit, someone else's lack of vision. He must have learned to detach his own self-worth from those no's.
That's a powerful perspective. You almost have to develop that thick skin.
You'd have to. And then, finally, that breakthrough. After all that, one restaurant accepted his recipe. Just one.
And in that single success, that one yes, it just ignited a chain reaction. It provided the validation he and probably potential franchisees needed. Others soon started inquiring about franchising his unique product.
Yeah.
It just shows you sometimes all it takes is that one person to say yes to change absolutely everything. That one domino falling can trigger an avalanche.
Absolutely. And the expansion after that was incredibly rapid. By 1964, KFC had just exploded. It boasted over 600 outlets across America, the UK, Canada, Mexico. From sleeping in his car just a few years earlier to leading this rapidly growing international brand. I mean, what an incredible pivot. What an incredible journey.
What an incredible trajectory. It really is astounding. But as with all great stories, there's always a fascinating twist, isn't there?
Right.
A nuanced layer. And that brings us to our fifth and final learning. Patience is very important. Mostly.
Mostly, indeed. So at the age of 74, in 1964, Colonel Sanders made this momentous decision. He sold the rights to his burgeoning KFC company to investors for $2 million.
$2 million.
Yeah.
Which, was a substantial sum back then, especially for a man who had faced so much adversity and hardship his entire life.
Oh, yeah. After decades of struggle, $2 million must have felt like an immense vindication, security.
It certainly would have. And here's the ironic twist that our source points out.
Yeah.
If he had waited just a little bit longer, if that incredible patience he embodied his entire life had just extended a bit further into this success phase, he would have become a multimillionaire many, many times over. After his death, which was December 16th, 1980, KFC was later acquired by PepsiCo for a staggering $840 million.
$840 million versus $2 million. That's quite a difference.
It's a colossal sum compared to his initial sale. It really raises questions about what success truly means and when you decide enough is enough. Was it a failure of patience at the very end? Or maybe a different kind of wisdom, a recognition that he achieved his personal goal, found security, and that was enough?
That's a profound thought. Maybe he finally had the financial security and the validation after that lifetime of striving. Perhaps for him, that was the ultimate victory. He'd proven his point.
Could be.
Yet, despite the timing of his sale, Colonel Sanders' original recipe and his instantly recognizable image, that iconic Kentucky Colonel, they remain the enduring cornerstones of the brand today. His legacy is just etched into the very identity of KFC.
Absolutely.
Which continues to expand globally, proving that some things, like a great recipe and an unforgettable image, are truly timeless.
What a life. What a legacy. And he left us with some truly powerful wisdom too, didn't he? Distilling his experiences into these 3 profound sayings.
Yeah, let's show those. The first one, if you are getting a necklace, meaning defeat or failure, then use it like a ladder. Climb one more ladder and you will reach your destination.
Wow. That's such a powerful reframe. Seeing setbacks not as something that weighs you down, but as a stepping stone.
Exactly.
It speaks directly to those 1,009 rejections, doesn't it? Each no was just another rung on his ladder upwards.
Absolutely. It just transforms the perception of failure. Instead of seeing it as a dead end, it's merely a temporary elevation, right? A point from which to gain perspective and plan the next ascent. He didn't just say it, he lived it repeatedly.
He really did. Okay, his second saying, your hard work can defeat every tonic, every vitamin in the world.
I like that one. It's a testament to the unglamorous, just consistent effort that often gets overlooked when we're chasing quick fixes, right?
Totally. He spent his entire life working relentlessly, starting from when he was just a boy, proving that sheer effort, sheer dedication can overcome so many obstacles that seem to require some kind of magic solution.
There's no substitute for just putting in the work. And finally, his third one. If you like to dream, if you don't get tired of hard work, then start respecting your dreams.
This one really ties everything together, doesn't it? It connects the abstract idea of having a dream to the very concrete, often grueling reality of hard work.
Yeah.
He's essentially saying, don't just hold on to a dream passively. Respect it enough, value it enough to put in the immense effort required to actually bring it to life. He respected his dream of that fried chicken recipe so much, he endured over 1,000 rejections for it.
That's beautifully put. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Colonel Harlan Sanders' truly extraordinary life, let's just quickly summarize the core insights. We've seen the absolute necessity of adapting to changing circumstances, the sheer undeniable power of relentless persistence, the invaluable lessons learned from every single failure, turning those setbacks into fuel.
That unbreakable spirit of determination that kept him going against really all odds, and yeah, that nuanced, sometimes kind of ironic role of patience.
These aren't just abstract ideas, are they? They're principles forged in the fire of real-world struggle and ultimate triumph. They offer a really powerful framework for anyone facing their own challenges.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So we ask you, our listener, to maybe consider, how can these principles be applied to your own aspirations, your current challenges, your personal pursuits? How can you maybe find your own recipe for resilience when you hit those inevitable roadblocks?
And as you reflect on Colonel Sanders' incredible journey, maybe consider this final provocative thought. How many groundbreaking ideas, how many personal triumphs, how many dreams might have actually been realized if their champions had only pushed past their 1009th rejection?
What might you achieve if you embraced that same level of unwavering belief? Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.